Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Sit Downs with Charlie Brown. I'm your host, DJ Charlie Brown, or whatever you choose to call me. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the halfway point in the MLB season, and we are going to break down all that is happening and all the major storylines. Now, I know what you're going to think. Why is it another solo episode? Still in the process of talking with Stanley to get him back on, and I just kind of wanted to do another solo episode to go over the MLB season. So, apologies in advance because I know some people would want to hear me talk with a co-host, but sometimes just things kind of happen. So, there's that. Sitting at the number one spot in the American League at this moment is, oh God, I hate saying this, the New York Yankees. Leave it to me to absolutely give a trash take regarding the Yankees, who are once again back to running the league. I have no question about their bats. Juan Soto is having an MVP season. Judge continues to launch bombs. And, of course, Stanton hits with more power as per usual. You want more to this? Add Anthony Volpe, Jose Trevino, John Birdie, Alex Verdugo. All have done very well at the plate. As for pitching, to my shock, Garrett Cole has not been the headliner because he's still dealing with an injury. Schmidt's broken out, Stroman has been worth the contract, and Rodon is getting back to his old form. If that isn't a nut, meet Lucas Heel, the 25-year-old striking everyone out in sight. All the while baseball watches as the Bronx insufferability continues. Let me just say this. I have my doubts, but we'll see come postseason time with this Yankee core. Trailing right behind them by only a game or so is the Baltimore Orioles. Things have been going smoothly from what I've been able to notice with the Orioles. They have Adley, Henderson, Santander, and Mountcastle hitting with authority. Westerberg and Kauser have been still kind of fluctuating, but still very solid. Starting pitching has been good, as Burns has been advertised. Rodriguez and Means are taking big steps. And Cole Irvin's had himself a good season. The main concern with them is their bullpen, but that is something they can easily fix at the deadline, and I think they'll be definitely shopping with the position they're in. So I'd say keep it up, O's, because the whole AL East is a bit of a dogfight right now, and they're the team that I think they got to put it into another gear. So, trailing right behind them is the Boston Red Sox. Interesting, because apparently I'm grossly misinterpreted the quality of this team if you go back to my previous take. While they are still middle of the pack, they have a lot of intriguing pieces. Masataka Yoshida and Rafael Devers need no question. They've been good this year. It's what they have around them. Jared Duran, Rafaela, Abreu, O'Neill, Refsnyder, Wong, and more have been hitting like beasts at the plate. Pitching-wise, they've had a new free-headed monster of Tanner Hudock, Garrett Whitlock, and Cutter Crawford. Heck, they even have a good bullpen this year as Jansen's back to form as well as Brennan Bernardino, Nino, Cam Boozer, and Greg Wessert. The once complacent Lion is once back at the top of the division, so just what the world needed. Another Boston team contending for a championship. You can tell the enthusiasm in my voice. Sitting at fourth place in the AL East is the Tampa Bay Rays. I gotta be honest, I expected more from the Rays. It's not a hitting issue. The likes of Arozarena, Diaz, Paredes, and the Wander Franco replacement of Junior Caballero have been hitting. The main issue? They have no pitching. Shane McClanahan and Rasmussen and a lot more are still out to the start of the year. And their best starter is Zach Little at the moment, with an ERA over 3. The bullpen is thankfully okay, but the starting pitching's been what's killing this team this year. With how things are going, I am seriously considering that they might need to sell. Now watch them pull out some random BS and get back into playoff contention now that I say this. And pulling up the rear in the American League East is the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm convinced that the moment they pulled Barrios in the wild card game, it broke this team. You look at the stats, you see Guerrero, Jensen, IKF, Schneider, Bichette, and more doing well on the offensive side. Barrios, Kikuchi, Bassett are all dealing, along with Manoah making a comeback before he got struck down by Tommy John along with a sturdy bullpen. What's been the main issue? My thought, underachieving. Every time they seem to suddenly get hot, they just forget how to hit and they forget how to pitch. Why is John Schneider still here is my question. It's clear that he's even worse than Charlie Montoya. This season has become a wash if they don't fix it soon. Otherwise, they're going to be more aggravating than the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, you heard me. And that team hasn't won a playoff game hadn't won a playoff game since 2 years ago. So, yeah. Moving over to the American League Central, sitting at the top of the division is the Cleveland Guardians. Once again, the young burgeoning core in Cleveland is back after last year's sophomore slump. Currently not only sitting at the top of the Central, but also at the top of most of the American League at the moment, with one of the best records in baseball with a 58-36 record. Good. Ramirez, Jimenez, Naylor, Kwan are still thriving, only this time they have help with David Fry, Tyler Freeman, and Brian Rocchio are their new young breakout stars. Lost to Shane Bieber they did lose Shane Bieber to Tommy John, but here's your new three-headed monster of Tristan McKenzie, Tanner Beatty, and rookie sensation Logan Allen. Their bullpen is solid, but I think they could use an extra arm or two if they want to continue their stretch of upending their rivals. So, good work, Cleveland, but even as a Twins fan, we come in. Speaking of the Twins, they currently sit at the number 2 spot in the division. It was a rough start for the defending AL Central champs, hitting a record of 9-14 in March and losing Royce Lewis due to a hamstring injury. It really took a toll on the team, and everyone was struggling. The following months, however, they were blessed with the almighty powers of the sausage, leading them to a 13-game winning streak to get them back into contention late into April and May. Kepler, Miranda, Larnach, Correa, Castro, Jeffers, and Kirilloff have all been hitting everything with a pulse. Heck, even Buxton's healthy and doing well, and even Royce Lewis was back for a bit launching bombs before he got injured again. You want to know the best part? Meet Brooks Lee, the 8th overall pick who has been making a massive impact on the team in his sort of absence. You know, pitching-wise, has it seen a bit of regression, particularly from Pablo Lopez, but however, the rotation of Ryan, Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, and rookie sensation Simon Woods Richardson have been picking up very well along with the bullpen. If they can find some consistency, it's hard to see them creeping up on teams. Now watch Minnesota sports kick in and this be the kiss of death. Because, of course, it is. But, you know, like I said, they're 5 games out. Anything can happen. Sitting in the middle and number 3 in the AL Central is the Kansas City Royals. Realistically, considering past years, this is a miracle. You know, Bobby Witt Jr. is continuing his ascension to greatness with blazing speed, precision hitting, and elite fielding. Perez, Garcia, Pasquantino, and other supporting members are quality. Hell, they even have one of the top rotations as Lugo, Singer, Reagans, and Waka are holding serve. So why are they not dominating the league? No bullpen. Besides a few names, it's a literal gas can of blown leads and saves. It's an easy fix before the deadline, but you know, it just might hurt them down the stretch. Don't worry though, it's only a few more months before the Chiefs open training camp or Taylor Swift releases a new album. I don't know. Pulling up 4th is the Detroit Tigers. The rebuild has gotten into a roadblock, but progress is being made. Matt Vierling, Kerry Carpenter, Colt Keith, and Riley Green have been emerging as core pieces, even with Torkelson regressing and likely heading to being a bust. The veteran guys are quality additions to their offensive hitting. Tariq Skubal has emerged into a solid ace alongside Jack Flaherty. The main issue is they lack consistency and a very underwhelming bullpen. Still time, but you know, it's better than that they really just are getting even getting somewhat better at this point. That's all you can really say about the Tigers. And pulling up in the bottom of the AL Central is the Chicago White Sox. Once again, the Tank Brigade is rolling along on the south side of Chicago at tremendous speed. Losing streaks aplenty, hitters that are black holes, and so much more. The only bright spot this year has been Eric Fetty in the months of May and June. Just another fabulous season of Chicago baseball. Only on the north, only that it's, I would say it's on both sides, but yeah. So now on to our final American League Conference, the AL West. Sitting at the number one position at the All-Star break is the Seattle Mariners. Now, this is the type of team I expected last season from the Mariners. While frustrating, I mean, hey, it's better late than never. J-Rod has broken into the type of player Seattle is paying him to be. Along with Cal Raleigh, Ty France, Mitch Haniger, and more, they are one of the most potent hitting cores in all of baseball. However, my main issue is the pitching staff being very messy. Castillo, Miller, Gilbert, and Kirby all have ERAs over 3. Thankfully, they've gotten better, but the bullpen is very structured with Munoz and Saucedo too. But I think realistically, they need a fireman in the bullpen. Calling up Brian Wu is a good start, but they need more. Get ready, Seattle. It's time to go buying, something you very well haven't done in your previous life. Sitting at number 2 and trailing the Mariners by 1 game is the Houston Astros. It took a bit, but the Astros aren't going down without a fight as usual. While they are still a playoff spot, I personally can see them as a bit underwhelming. Hitting isn't an issue. Altuve, Yordan, Bregman, Pena, Tucker, and Diaz are hitting bombs. However, the caveat is they lack serious arm power. The best guy they have in that rotation right now is a 40-year-old named Ronel Blanco. Otherwise, Verlander has regressed due to age and injuries. Brown is a turnstile, and Valdez is off sync. While the bullpen is top tier, they desperately need new arms to fix this. Even if it means getting the corpse of Nolan Ryan back to his old form. They just need something at this point that's going to be a starting pitcher for them. Sitting in the middle of the AL West is the defending champion Texas Rangers. I got to be honest, the title defense is starting to hit a massive roadblock. The offense is its usual chorus of Simeon, Seager, and Garcia with their other supporting stars. Evan Carter is struggling. Meet Josh Smith, the new breakout star of the Lone Star squad. Pitching, well, it's mostly been the John Gray show as DeGrom and Scherzer are still recovering, and Lorenzen has been a massive disappointment. However, the concerning element, it's the bullpen. It's been blowing them a ton of games lately, and it's holding them back from getting up to the top. Luckily, I think they still have a chance to sneak in, but they got to start picking up speed and fast. Otherwise, it's going to look like people are going to question if they are legit or we're just a flash in the pan. So, sitting at their usual number 4 spot, it's the LA Angels. This team is Groundhog Day at this point. At the start of the year, things were decent. Ward, Neto, Ohapi, and Shamo were hitting with authority. Tyler Anderson and Patrick Sandoval were making turnarounds on the rotation. That was until the inevitable happened. Mike Trout got injured again. Since then, it's been agony and misery and wondering how the hell Anthony Rendon conned this team into his contract. This team just can't buy anything nice in this world. Sell the team, Artie Moreno. Otherwise, at least free Mike Trout before his career ends. Moving on to the bottom barrel of the AL West is the Oakland A's, or I should say the soon-to-be Sacramento A's or Las Vegas A's, whatever you want to call them. I got to give the credit. They are going out fighting to try and make this the modern-day Major League. However, I don't know if that's going to be the case. It's no secret that this team is bad due to the current situation, but there are a few bright spots. Shea Langeliers and Jeff Bleedy look like solid pieces of the future core. while a few guys are slumping, they could have pieces of value to sell off. If they do decide to sell Mason Miller, you could get a respectable haul from a team in desperate need of his services. Their bullpen is actually one of the best in the game right now, ish. As the team makes its stop in Sacramento before heading to Vegas, I will say this: screw you, John Fisher. That's all I can really say. A's fans, you deserve better. And here's the thing: you're 16 games out of a playoff spot right now. I hope you can pull something magical out, because it would be glorious for memedom. So that's all I got to say about that. Now we're moving over to the National League, starting in the NL East. The number one team and the number one team in all the National League, the Philadelphia Fightin' Phillies. The marquee season that has been to be expected from a group like the Phillies at this point. The usual suspects of Harper, Schwarber, Turner, and Realmuto are over as advertised. Ironically, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, and the other supporting stars are also thriving even higher. Wheeler and Nola are strong in the rotation, but it's been the Rangers' Suarez show, as he's been hot for the Phillies this year, and it's impressive. Complemented by a sturdy bullpen, Philly has made it clear their eyes are on the ultimate prize. And I will say this: they are my pick. At this moment, they are currently my pick to win the World Series. I know it's a bold take, but you can't deny with the group they have, they're bound to get a piece of hardware at some point. So we'll see come postseason time, but until then, God help us. Coming in the number 2 spot is the Atlanta Braves. Even though they're fighting for a playoff spot, it already feels like the Braves are defeated this season. The offense is there, as Ozuna, Harris, Olsen, Arcia, Albies, and Riley are raking. The pitching staff has actually been solid, with Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and the revived Chris Sale, which is shocking after being riddled with injuries for years. The downside is 2 injuries that have made Braves fans want to cry painfully. Spencer Strider, the staff ace, Tommy John surgery. Ronald Acuna, the reigning MVP, tore his ACL. While they are still capable of pushing for the postseason, it falls on deaf ears. Both of those guys are not just the marquee stars, but critical faces of the franchise. It just truly feels gut-busting to see this happen to the Braves, because it's at the point where it's like, God, jeez. It's happened again and again. It's like, keep these guys healthy. Coming in the middle of the pack in the NL East is the New York Mets. What does a $300 million payroll get you in Queens? Total comedy and misery. That's not even a joke. It's the reality. Yes, it is true this team went on a random winning streak by the power of Grimace from McDonald's, but that is micro in the grand scheme of things. Nearly every hitter has regressed to the point where Starling Marte is one of their best hitters. Alonso's injured, Lindor's been a disappointment, Alvarez is slumping, and the rest are either strikeout magnets or making little contact. Pitching is where the real nightmare is this season. Reminder, Kodai Senga is still dealing with an injury. The best pitchers, Luis Severino and Jose Quintana, both with ERAs over 3. Probably even worse, because it's been a while since I've updated my list. Aside from Diaz... Besides that Edwin Diaz keeps dealing with injuries and struggling. The bullpen is emulating Jorge Lopez, giving 0 Fs as he yeets his glove into the stands after getting ejected, and then somehow getting DFA'd. Maybe he was right to call this the worst team in baseball. This organization is a gigantic meme. Rounding out at the 4th spot is the Washington Nationals. It took a bit, but the rebuild is taking a huge step forward after years of wandering the abyss. Luis Garcia Jr. has been hitting like a beast, along with Joey Meneses and C.J. Abrams. Jesse Winker's had a respectable season as well. Pitching is still a mess as Corbin is lost and both Gore and Irvin have been struggling. However, 32-year-old Trevor Williams has been one of the best players in the staff this year and could get you a somewhat okay haul at the deadline. Bullpen's okay, but still has some cracks here and there, which you can fix with time. I don't know if this is the year, but it's progress. They still have a ton of prospects like Wood, Cruz, House, and more in the farm system. Be patient, Nats fans. That's all I'm going to say is your time's going to come. Rounding out the bottom of the barrel is the Miami Marlins. The only thing I can have to explain this is divine retribution for kicking Kim Ang out the door. Opening the season 0-9 is just the beginning. Since then, it's been a downhill free fall. Besides Jazz, De La Cruz, Bell, and Berger, everyone is struggling to in some way, shape, or form. Pitching-wise is a nightmare. Their best pitcher is Ryan Weathers with an ERA of 3.16, maybe even worse. Luzardo's been meh. Garrett and Sanchez haven't been pitching cookies. Yuri Perez needed Tommy John surgery, and the bullpen is a gas can. No wonder they shipped out Luis Arraez for prospects. This team needed massive changes and ASAP. So, I wish I could be positive, Marlin fans, but you're most likely looking at another rebuild. At least you got revenue from the wild card game. Moving over to the NL Central, we have at number 1 the Milwaukee Brewers. It appears I misinterpreted how this team replenishes on the fly. Under the new youth movement, the Brewers are ending up at the top of the Central Division. The offense is no longer solely reliant on Yelich, Contreras, Adames, and Hoskins. Top prospects Bryce Truang, Sal Frelick, and Blake Perkins and Jackson Chourio have been actual pieces to help improve this team. However, their weakness is in the starting rotation and team discipline. Besides the emergence of rookies Ross Gasser, it's relying on a struggling Freddie Peralta and a cooked Colin Rea and others. It also doesn't help when this team literally wants to try and fight one that crosses their path and has been involved in so many bench-clearing brawls this year. While I'm impressed, they desperately need new arms in the rotation and to control their temper and fast. If there is one team that needs to exercise some playoff demons, it's these guys. Coming in at number 2 is the St. Louis Cardinals. This is literally the definition of mid for a team. That's how I define the Cardinals this year. The issue of St. Louis isn't in pitching. Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, and Sonny Gray have been worth the contracts. The bullpen is serviceable with guys like Romano, Kittredge, and Helsley. The bigger issue this time around is hitting. The best guy hitting is Mason Wynn. That's how bad it has been for the Cardinals. Arenado's been decent, but Goldschmidt has plummeted to an alarming rate. Contreras and the other top prospects are picking up the slack, but it's not sustainable in my opinion. Now watch after the All-Star break they pull a reverse and go all the way. It's how the devil magic of St. Louis works, I tell you. The devil magic! I don't understand it, but it works. Coming in at the number 3 spot is... Wait a minute. Is this right? The Pittsburgh Pirates? Huh. Very interesting. It's okay, Pirates fans. This is a new phenomenon you're experiencing called possible hope. Consistency is still an issue, but hey, I think there's some things to look forward to in Pittsburgh, at least for the short-term future, even though they don't have the best ownership. The usual suspects of Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Jared Triolo, and Old Man McCutcheon are hitting, along with O'Neal Cruz, who is always fun to watch. You also have Connor Joe, who's having a very good season, and I think is definitely a solid bat and defensive piece to them right now. However, all eyes are on the rotation this year. Not just Mitch Keller, who has been at his usual form, but the future's arrived. First, Jared Jones, of course, Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, the 2 top pitching prospects for the Bucks, have been capturing the hearts of fans across America. Blazing fastballs and filthy breaking pitches for all our viewing. However, the bullpen is another story, as besides Chapman and David Bednar, they have much of nothing. But if there's one thing for sure, Pittsburgh's getting close. They might need more time, but it's very impressive to start seeing. Also, Paul Skeens, that man is insane. I'll say that Oh, that's all I have to say. Otherwise, I'm going to go on a gush fest. Coming in at number 4th is the Cincinnati Reds. If we've learned anything from this season, it's that the Cincinnati is nowhere near ready for usurping the top spot in the division just yet. They have bright spots, however, Steer, Candelario, and India have all been quality options. Ellie De La Cruz is one of the most exciting and fun players to watch, as well as Stuart Fairchild. Pitching's been a mixed bag with Hunter Green, Abbott, and Ashcroft. Aren't terrible, just very inexperienced. Bullpen is thankfully solid, but I think they can always go so far until they can run out of gas. Even if they are kind of at the bottom, I'm willing to look past it because it's still a developmental year. Just don't make it a trend and you'll be fine. And sitting at the bottom is my award for the massive underachievers of the year, the Chicago Cubs. Answer me this. You have Cody Bellinger, Eric Tauchman, Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, and more making up a very strong and potent hitting core. The pitching staff has blossomed in full force with the rise of top prospect Javier Assad and one of the front runners to win Rookie of the Year in Shota Imanaga. However, the other side that you're lacking is bullpen and consistency. While it's not all bad, being in last place is a bad look. It's not too bad, and I feel you can fix it with a few adjustments, but they need to work fast. At least there is solace that your year is better than on Little Brother on South Side by a smidge. Keywords, a smidge. Now we move over to the final spot in the NL West. First up in first place is the LA Dodgers. I got to give the Dodgers credit. Even with a certain scandal that took place, everything is going according to plan. Shohei Ohtani is thriving on the offense along with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. Also, his rehab for pitching has taken good progress. Ohtani, I should say. The supporting cast is even deadlier with Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, and so many more contributing to the mighty blue machine. Pitching has mostly been Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Gavin Stone leaving the charge in the rotation. The bullpen's always great. However, lately, the old temptations are giving in. Injuries. Along with Betts and Muncy, the pitching staff is plagued with guys doing IL stints, including the 3 guys that I just mentioned, along with Kershaw, along with Buehler, along with almost every guy who can throw the ball. It's at the point where it's starting to unravel, and they got to get it fixed fast, because you know what this year is about, Dodgers. You talk a lot of big game, but you got to back it up, especially for Dave Roberts, as I don't like him as a manager, but that's just my opinion. We'll see you come playoff time. Sitting at the number 2 spot is the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's been some slight regression, but they've sort of bounced back to old form. Corbin Carroll has been a massive disappointment this year, but you've had guys like Peterson, Ketel Marte, Grichuk, Walker, and others that have been thriving offensively. Same with the bullpen's gotten a little bit of a mixed bag, and the starting pitching has been okay, as Allen's back from his injury. Fott's having some growing pains, but still a solid guy. However, Jordan Montgomery's been the massive disappointment this year. I expected him to be good. He's flat out been a mess for the entirety of the year. Well, here's the thing. It's gotten to the point where they've been able to get back in the fight. You got to be careful because there's a certain team creeping up on you. The team creeping up on them, that would be the 3rd place team, the San Diego Padres. It took a bit, but the Padres, I feel, are living up to the potential they have. Even the offense is there. Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth, Ha-Sung Kim, Profar, Rise, and rookie sensation Jackson Merrill are making content. Michael King, Dylan Cease, and Yu Darvish are a strong 3-headed monster in the rotation with a plug-and-play bullpen. they do have some consistency issues because 1 minute they go from beating the Dodgers to then getting smacked by the Rockies. While it's a fixable issue, they cannot get complacent unless they wish to be usurped by their rivals. Keep at it, San Diego. I'm rooting for you. Coming in fourth is the San Francisco Giants. All that hype in March for this? The Giants have pieces, but they lack a complete puzzle. While the young guys like Luciano and Wade Jr. have been hitting, Chapman and Soler have been massive disappointments since they picked them up. Pitching-wise, the Jordan Hicks experiment has paid off massively to aid Logan Webb and rookie Kyle Harrison. However, the dead weight has been Blake Snell, who's at the point of, he's just a disaster and massively declining due to injuries. But, the bullpen's all right, but it's missing a lot of parts to get them over the hump. Question is, do you gamble at the deadline? Because I don't know if you can... currently right now, they're 9.5 games back. I don't know if it's the right call to do it. So, thankfully, I'm not a GM. I'm just some guy who podcasts about sports in his basement. And rounding out the bottom of the barrel in the NL West is the Colorado Rockies. This is sort of predictable to the point where I can copy and paste my notes from last year and no one would care. Rockies are a dumpster fire that is simply just existing at this point. It's another year where the bats are thriving due to the elevation, and pitching is so garbage you wonder why these guys are still in the league. Wake me when the Rockies sell at the deadline at this point, because that's all I care about with them. I'm sorry, Rocky fans. You deserve better, but it's just, oh God, it's a mess for them. So now to round out the sort of end of the episode here, I figured I'd give off my predictions for where I see things heading. So the Central, as much as I want to have faith in my Twins, I think Cleveland still takes the division. I think Baltimore gets back. The Yankees currently sit right now in the top of the NL East. I think the O's get it at the last minute. And then I still think the Mariners clinch the West. My wild card teams, I have the Yankees, Twins, and it's hard, but I actually think the Red Sox get in. I don't know why, but I think they slip in at the last minute, and they are going to be a team that gets back in there. I know it's a bold take, but I think they definitely have the tool. They have the tools and the experience to get in there. So, in terms of who I see in the NL, in the East, I still think the Phillies win their division handily. They have the best record in baseball, and they're not slowing down. West, I think it still goes to the Dodgers. They're not missing a beat at this point. Central, Brewers, because they have nothing else better in there. Now it comes down to the wild cards. I think Atlanta will still be in the mix. I think St. Louis might slip in. And I know the Mets currently hold a wild card spot. I don't see them keeping it. I think it's going to be the Padres. It's a bold one, but there are so many teams that I think realistically could get in, but that's just my thought. But, anything can happen. So all I got to say is play ball, and we will see you guys next time.